Zaxby's Caribbean Jerk Chicken is just like a vacation in the tropics. Only without the sunburn. Or the dive-bombing seagulls. Or all of that pesky sand.
How'd it get in there?
Well, at least it tastes like the tropics. Enjoy our famous chicken tossed in a tropical blend of spicy habanero, fruity mango, and exotic island spices. The Caribbean Jerk boneless wings and the new filet sandwich meal. 2 more reasons you'll get a kick out of Zaxby's.
From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up!
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi.
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! What up, everybody? Welcome on into Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's. I'm Aslan. He is Corey. We work for Warchant.com. Use that promo code, Warchant30. Gets you 30 free days of access to the ultimate Seminole sports source. And with that savings, you can go ahead and go over to Zaxby's and get yourself the new Caribbean Jerk filet sandwich. Or you can get the boneless wings. Get them tossed around in that sauce. Make you feel craving for the islands. I'm getting ready for my trip to Bali next month, Corey. How about that? Your guy's going to be going to Bali. We might even have to do a show while I'm out there.
Where is Bali?
Indonesia. It's an island off Indonesia. So it's like, Southeast Asia, that whole sort of chain of islands, Indonesia, I think like Singapore,
Was
Papua New
it?
Guinea.
And I hate to bring up an awful incident, but was it part of the tsunami? That was that area of the world, I know, but I didn't know if Bali was actually part of it.
I don't
Like
know.
if Bali got hit by it.
I don't
I'll
know.
look it up. I'll look it up.
I think they were actually a soft target for a terrorist attack, though.
Oh,
So,
okay.
there is
Even
that.
better.
Yeah, so going right
Welcome to
into
the week, everyone. Welcome to the week.
Yeah. Big time game going on tonight, a national championship game between Clemson and LSU. We'll talk maybe a little bit about that. Maybe we'll talk about that before we get back to the rest of the questions on the Randy Gate Express. What are we supposed to do, Corey? I know you're probably looking up the tsunami stuff, so I hate to interrupt you in the midst of a good little bit.
Indonesia. I knew it happened in Indonesia. It doesn't say anything about Bali.
Well, Bali
Do you remember
is,
how many people?
Bali's an island. I think it's actually part. I don't think it's an autonomous state. I think it's an actual island territory of Indonesia.
All right. Well, either way, 300,000 people estimated to have died in that.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, insanity. I mean, it's just incredible. It isn't. I mean, imagine that. Anyway, let's not imagine it. Let's get on to bigger and better things. But and I really hope it doesn't happen to you when you're there.
Okay, that'd be great. All right, well, speaking of just mass loss, Florida State, in terms of them chasing Clemson, they're just so far behind. What are we supposed to do? I feel like everybody is rooting for LSU. That's a Florida State fan. I kind of think we should root for Clemson. Well, I just want to get your thought on it real quick.
I mean, I don't know. It's weird to me that that any Florida State fan would necessarily root for Clemson. Like, I know they're not one of the two rivals, but they're still a team that you want to be better than. And I don't think whatever happens tonight will I don't know, like thwart their orbit. You know what I mean? I mean, they're still orbiting at a really, I don't even know how to complete that analogy. But I don't think it's going to throw them off their orbit if they lose tonight against LSU. I mean, win or lose, they are the best program in the country right now. 1 or 1A, however you want to look at it. So they're in the national championship game again. It's already a pretty wide disparity. I don't know about them winning another national championship. Puts them even farther ahead of Florida State. They're still way, way ahead of Florida State. But don't you want you don't want the team that you're trying to beat every year, you don't want them to have won, what would that be, 3 and 4 years? Is that right?
Yeah.
Good grief. So yeah,
16,
I don't
18 and 19.
and it's not like, I don't know. I mean, I guess there could be a sense of like ACC pride, but not
right.
really.
Let's go.
Really.
Okay.
I mean, they ran roughshod through the ACC. It's Clemson pride. I wrote this column way back. I think I wrote it, because I wrote a column back for the Democrat back when Clemson almost beat Alabama. Whenever that, I think Jacob Coker beat him. He didn't beat him. The Alabama team beat him.
Yeah,
I think Kenyon Drake
season.
was that 15. Yeah, Kenyon Drake had the kickoff return and they had the onside kick. So I wrote after that column because I did find myself rooting for Clemson. Like, come on, Clemson, you can do it. Take pride in show them how the ACC can play football.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, I'm like, this is what SEC fans do. And the reason that I always mock SEC fans, and the people listening to this for a long time know that I went to an SEC school, and I'm a fan of that school. But I don't celebrate when Alabama wins a championship because that trophy doesn't go in the Georgia trophy case. There's no big SEC trophy case where they all get to go and visit every year. They all go into Alabama's trophy case. So why would you cheer for one of your conference mates to win a championship? The patting on the back that the SEC does for Alabama and LSU being good has always been really bizarre. And so we don't want to be a part of that. We don't want to be a part of that, do we? You know what I mean? Like, you would be cheering for Clemson just because they're the ACC?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know,
at least
man.
Make our brand seem okay. I mean, there's
it
nothing
really
else.
Clemson's great. Clemson just beat Ohio State. Like, everybody knows Clemson's awesome. Like, they didn't get a lot of credit for their wins this year, but the ACC was down. That happens. It's a whole different ballgame than it was 5 years ago when Florida State just got, screwed. Sorry, I couldn't think of a better word. And was the 3 seed in a 4-team playoff, even though they were undefeated in a Power 5 conference, and they beat good teams in the ACC. But I think this year's a little different. I don't think the ACC proved to be any good at all. So I don't know. I don't think Clemson winning does anything for the rest of the ACC. It's still going to be viewed. I mean, they just won it last year. Did that help? Did that help the perception of the ACC?
Was that rhetorical?
No, it sounded rhetorical, didn't it? I apologize for that, and it kind of sounded a little bit sarcastic. I didn't mean that either.
No,
that was a legitimate question.
I think for me, it's just I have so many friends that are SEC fans. Like, I have a lot of friends from back in Mississippi, and for some reason, they're some of the most loudest, most obnoxious SEC chest thumping people, and it's like, you guys bring nothing to the table. God love you, but Mississippi State, you bring nothing to the SEC table at all.
Absolutely.
Like, maybe women's basketball, congrats. But I don't know. I follow all them on Twitter, so I'm kind of in that echo chamber of them just, patting each other on the back over and over again. So I would like to see them lose and just see them how they spin it, because I get it.
So I see what you're saying. I don't know that you're necessarily patting yourself on the back for being an ACC fan. It's more about the SEC losing than Clemson winning.
Very much so. Yes.
So, like, if Ohio State was playing LSU, obviously you'd be rooting for Ohio State.
Oh,
right?
Actually, I don't know. I hate Ohio State. I hate Ohio State. I'm telling you, Ohio State. This is almost sacrilege to say on an FSU podcast. They're not, though, but they're so close to as bad as Florida fans. They're everywhere. And the thing is, they were horrible like my childhood. At least, Florida, whatever, it came out of nowhere with Spurrier to a certain degree. I hate them in every fiber of my being. But like Ohio State, man, like John Cooper, you guys are terrible. You guys are nothing. And then, Jim Tressel gets them on track, and then they start acting like this is the way it's always been, and like order has been restored in the college football universe now that they're number one and stuff. I saw somebody tweet out, ESPN did this like 7-minute retrospective on the best moments of the last decade, and some Ohio State fan was, so Ohio State winning the first ever college football playoff national championship doesn't make it. I see you, SEC bias shining through. It's like, oh, you guys are the worst. That was the most uneventful. I mean, that was the first ever one. I get it, but does anybody remember anything from the Ohio State-Oregon game? And I know I'm probably speaking to the wrong people because no one was watching that game because they were all heartbroken of what happened the week prior. But that game was trash. There was nothing big about that game. But they did win it all, so congrats to them. But no, my whole thing is I'm more anti-SEC than I am like pro-ACC.
Got it. All right, well, that makes sense. Like, I guess that could maybe, I understand that necessarily, but I have a hard time like rooting necessarily for Clemson. I don't think I'll root for Clemson.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be. This is I realize they're a rival, and I know we go heads up on some recruits, but I just still feel like I just think, if Florida State wants a guy and they're doing good, Florida State's going to get a guy. But maybe that's outdated thinking because of the way they've been rolling in terms of the way they recruit and all these. This DJ Ugalele guy, they got like the number one quarterback, like their quarterback coach or somebody on the staff said he's got the strongest arm ever. Now they just got to work on fine tuning it. So he's got a year.
The strongest arm ever. What is it? Was that a real quote?
Well, no, like the strongest arm. Like the strongest arm I think they've had around. They've had on that roster.
So stronger than Trevor Lawrence's.
Yes.
Oh, cool. That's cool. That's cool. They got another one.
Yeah, he's got like a cannon. So
yeah.
That said, I think LSU is going to win, and part of me too is I did want to the Joe Burrow story is cool. I think the Ed Orgeron story is cool, but then I'm almost being a hypocrite because I'm over it now, and I feel like it's too syrupy sweet now. Like, oh, the guy with the Cajun accent. Everybody made fun of poor Ed Orgeron. Poor Ed Orgeron was getting made fun of because he had an accent. Look at me now. I'm in the national title game in my backyard, and it's like, come on, man. You were getting paid millions of dollars and failing. That's why you were getting made fun of, and really not so much your accent. But so who's going to win, though? I think LSU's going to win. I think they'll cover, too. I think they're a 6-point favorite.
Yeah, the more I think about it, I just think it's been such a special season for LSU. It just feels like one of those magical years that I think they'll find a way. There's no way that Clemson will be as I don't know. All those players on that team have already won one. But but I mean, I don't know. They'll obviously be very excited to play. I don't think they won't be desperate for a win either. I just think in sports you feel like you get these special seasons sometimes when it almost seems like an inevitability. But man, it's Clemson. You can't bet against those guys. This quarterback has never lost a game. Never. I mean, it's got to happen eventually, you think, but the dude has never lost a game. They don't know what it's like to lose, and they just beat an awesome team. I think Ohio State, and I'm certainly not a pro scout, but I think they've got a better secondary than Clemson does, and I think they'd have been maybe a little bit more difficult to match up defensively. But I mean, Clemson's going to score points, man. It's Clemson. So who knows, man? I would have never thought that they'd have beaten Alabama by 3 or 4 touchdowns last year. So it's hard to bet against Clemson. I have this suspicion, let's just put it that way, that I think LSU will finish it with a win over Clemson.
I kind of want to see the press conference too of Ed Orgeron if they lose. I think he'll be absolutely despondent. I think it'll be like a top 10 most heartbroken coach at the podium ever.
I think that says something about you as a person.
I just want to see that pain.
I thought you were going to say, I want to see him if they win. Bringing a championship back to his home state, getting to celebrate in his Cajun style.
One team on Hoppy.
Yeah.
One team on Hoppy.
But sure, you want to see him devastated.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I see how that works.
I see the pain in your eyes, Ed. Friend of the program, though.
All right. On to the next stuff. Let's get back to some of these questions.
So we had a whole bunch of questions we didn't get to. Let's keep it on the national title tip. This comes from Candy for Noles. In regards to your tweet from the other week talking about Jalen Ramsey and his most famous missed tackle, if you watch the play, Candy says, Joyner, that is LaMarcus Joyner, also comes rocketing into the play. Did he also miss the tackle, or did he make sure Ramsey missed the tackle to give Jameis a minute plus to win the game?
Yeah, he set the screen. That's next level thinking. I don't remember. I haven't watched that play in a while. I don't remember LaMarcus's role in it. I do remember it was I feel like it was like 2nd and 18. Like it was a long yardage situation. I think maybe Marshall had just been sacked or something. I feel like it was a long yardage situation. It wasn't inevitable. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was 2nd and 2 from the Florida State 4. So you're like, well, it wouldn't be. Yeah. So you wouldn't be like, oh, let's let them score so we get some time left. I mean, at that point, a couple more stops and the game's over. So anyway, I don't remember LaMarcus's role in that play, but Jalen getting trucked for maybe one of the last times of his career came at a perfect moment.
You're psycho, but in a great way. It was 2nd and 15.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I don't remember that. Like I was there at the game as you were. I was watching it as a inebriated fan. You were a working professional.
I was an inebriated professional.
Oh, were you? All right.
Oh, no, of course not. I wasn't drunk. Not yet.
But yeah, I don't remember like being heartbroken when that play happened, and I never nothing computed in my head at that time of this actually is a good thing, gives us enough time. But I remember that's just one of the things that would get talked about in the preceding weeks and months afterwards. They're like, hey, listen, if they tackle him there, then that actually probably doesn't help the cause out. But
no, I think if he tackles him there, I think it would have been a first down already. He'd already gotten most of that yardage back, and he might have already had a first down by the time Ramsey missed the tackle. I think at that point it would have seemed like an absolute inevitability. Man, they're about to score, and they're going to score with 18 seconds left. But I just that whole drive that Auburn had, I think they had like Mario Edwards made a play in that drive after Kermit's touchdown where I think he sacked Marshall like one-handed. He made a really nice play, and I think it was 3rd and 12. it with a whatever.
11? How about 3rd and 11?
But he made a great throw. He made like the best throw of his life.
Yeah,
like it was great coverage against a great defense. He's rolling, he's scrambling away from pressure, and he makes an incredible throw. And then even like maybe 40 seconds later, they're facing a 2nd and 15, and you're like, okay, this is a great defense that Florida State has, and they're going to win the game. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought the Florida State defense would stop them to win the game, and instead Ramsey got trucked and was never heard from again.
I can't believe you remember all this. It's amazing.
That was only 6 years ago. Come on. I remember more about the 93 and 99 games than I do the one from 13.
Candy also adds, can we get an extended hour with Hamilton the off season, June and July, where Corey meanders through Ham's LP collection and shares a well-aged bottle of scotch with him?
I don't know that Leonard drinks. I don't think he drinks, but I've always kind of wanted to do that. Apparently, it's just incredible, his collection, and I really would like to go over there and just see it. Like, I'm not into it's a lot of gospel music, and I'm not necessarily into that. But he also apparently has some incredible like Motown classics, like rare stuff. Like I'm trying to think of one. The Four Tops? Was that Motown?
That works. Temptations? How about you say
Temptations? That's what I was thinking of. Like Temptations, like live recordings from like 1964. Somehow Leonard gets all of these kind of old, you just can't even find them, recordings. And so I would be really cool to go and listen to Etta James and these rare recordings that in how often Leonard goes and does it. But anyway, really unique guy, actually. Old Hambone.
Gutter 850 seems players that have jumped into the portal are still hanging around. Can we get some clarification on some of these players? This was posted about a week ago. Harrison, Lamar, Adams, etc. There's actually an ongoing thread authored by Ira that's keeping everybody locked in with that, so I'm sure you've probably seen it. I think people are saying that Trayshawn Harrison visited Oregon State, so he gone. Malcolm Lamar, he gone, and DeMarcus Adams, FAU. It sounds
FAU,
like.
Yeah. Where's Malcolm Lamar from?
Armwood, Sefner.
Oh, okay.
Tampa.
All right. Okay. But he was an Oregon commit, right? Before Willie, I thought Willie flipped him. I thought he was committed to Willie at Oregon and then came to Florida State.
I don't know if he was out and out committed to Oregon, but I know he wasn't coming here unless, like if Jimbo was still here, he was not coming to Florida State. Willie's, who helped bring him into the fold, if you will. So
with Trayshawn gone, I wonder who Norvell's going to go to for the 4-yard losses on screen passes.
Oh, don't be that. That's going to be. Corey.
No, actually, it's a bummer with him. He always showed a little bit. You know what I mean? And wherever he goes, like Oregon State or something, it wouldn't surprise me at all if he had like a 50 or 60 catch season. Like he's got something in him. I think he's got something in him. But I mean, they tried to get him the ball in so many ways, and they never found a really good way to do it. Either coordinator he had, but I think he's got some talent. I really do, and I think he just didn't fit in here, or every time he got a chance to make a play, he didn't. He got tackled for a loss. But I think he's obviously very fast. I think he's got some wiggle. And yeah, good luck to him, man. For real, good luck to him. It's a bummer that it turned out this way because he was committed to Oregon too, right?
Yes, he was.
And yeah, you think about that, man. They would have. I mean, he'd have gotten to play in the Rose Bowl.
Yeah. Well, we can't always get what we want.
True.
Speaking of, I guess
I've never played in the Rose Bowl. Why does he get to?
I guess like former players, or once a Nole, always a Nole. So there's like these post-season games, or these not bowl games, but these, I guess, exhibition showcases, like the Senior Bowl, but like lesser games. So apparently Alex Hornibrook skipped out on the Sun Bowl to get ready for the Tropical Bowl, which was held in Daytona Beach. Cole Minshew was also out there. I think Marvin Jones, the great Marvin Jones, was an assistant coach out there for that. I saw Levante Taylor is going to be playing in the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. I think that goes down this weekend. And the East-West Shrine game, which I still think is being played at the Trop in St. Pete. Keith Gavin is going to be participating in that game. They list him as 6'6". He's not that tall, is he?
Keith Gavin?
Yeah.
Oh, I never struck me as 6'6".
They list him as 6'6" on that roster.
All right. Well, hey, man, that's cool. Maybe he had a growth spurt in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
Get some, Keith. JDDA Noel, love the show. Enjoy hearing about Brady. And Aslan, more stories about your cat. I haven't got the cat yet. I'm really excited about Coach Norvell. I often wonder if Odell was named head coach, who would he have kept from the old staff?
I mean, that's a really hypothetical that I couldn't even begin to answer. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, he'd have kept himself. I don't know that he would have kept. Maybe he keeps Kendall and Randy because he's not an offensive guy. You know what I mean? And
Right.
they're good. I mean, they're sought after. They're good coaches. So maybe that's what he does. That would be. Other than that, I would have no idea. I do think he would have kept both of them.
I wonder who he would have hired for defensive line coach. That would have been interesting, right? Or he just kept doing it. He just kept doing it. He would have operated like it was the bowl game. Like he just would have been, we're going to delegate everything out, and I'm going to still coach the defensive line because that's the way I roll.
A Brady update real quick.
Yeah.
So I was wrong. I think I told the story last week about his report card.
Okay.
So we thought we were hoping he got straight A's, but he got the 289s.
Right.
But it turns out he hadn't actually gotten his official report card, and he got that on Friday. And he did, in fact, get straight A's.
Let's go!
Those 289s turned into 90s, so he did get straight A's. So how about that? I was really excited when I saw that, just because he was so excited about it.
So you're what, $400 lighter now in the wallet?
$250.
$250? All right, that's a piece of cake.
Yeah, I'd already given him 150 of it, so that's an extra 100 that I had to pony up. But luckily, I was just at a casino this weekend in North Carolina, so I had some hundreds. I had some hundreds in my pocket already. I had some Franklins in there anyway, so I just gave him one. But I'm just hoping he was excited because he set his mind to something and did it. But I really think he was excited for the money, which I don't know if that's teaching the lesson that I want to be taught. But whatever it takes, man.
I mean, obviously, I'm not the delegate parent on this show. Let me see here. FSU Fool responded to our last show from last week. I had to laugh about Corey bribing his son to get straight A's. Never bribed my kid, but back in my day, I think 7th grade, the Cincinnati Reds offered 6 free tickets to any 7th grader in their area who got straight A's. So I did. And I remember one of my teachers telling me he was glad something was able to get me off my lazy to actually try. That was his exact words. Same deal in 8th grade. Then I never made straight A's again until graduate school and never got off my lazy ass to try again. My kid is a senior in high school, occasionally makes straight A's, but I put the fear in him his first semester freshman year when he came home with a 3.2 GPA, and I told him that he wasn't good enough to get into any decent college, or rather that wasn't good enough to get into any decent college. That was the worst he's ever done, probably going to graduate with a 3.6. At some point, your son will need to do it for himself and not for cash, but good on you to get him motivated in 6th grade.
Well,
I got no problem with it. What's the problem with, I mean...
Well, the problem is, like, what if he gets straight A's in the 9th grade? He's like, what do I get for this?
Well,
or,
give
hey,
him
I'm
money
going to get...
again.
No, I'm not. I'm not a bank. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go to school and get good grades. So what it did really is I've said this before. I thought I thought there was a better chance that a unicorn would gallop into my garage than him getting straight A's. He had never done it at all in his life. And this was 6th grade. It's a difficult grade. I mean, if you're barely getting B's in 5th grade because you're too lazy to do any homework, there's no chance you're getting straight A's. So when I made that offer to him, it literally I'm lucky I didn't say $1,000 because I just thought there was no chance. It wasn't a risk. And then he ends up doing it. So, but I did talk to him on Sunday and was like, look, dude, you understand that's not always the case. He goes, yeah, next time I'd like an iPhone. And I'm like, no, this isn't. See, and that's the problem. That's what I've set up is this kind of, okay, I'll get good grades for you. I want him to get good grades for himself. So hopefully that will, and I want him to be competitive. That's why I told him, it's like, man, you're competitive in sports. You want to be a really good baseball player and basketball player. Well, be competitive with the classmates. Want to be the best math student. Want to be the best writer in your language arts class. So anyway, I know nobody tunes in to hear Brady's stories, but so I thought people would like to know, though, that he actually did get straight A's. So I was fired up about it.
I got no problem. I think he does a good job. He should be rewarded for it. That's just
overall a good kid. Not a great kid. Still got some work to do. But, there's still still some warts, but overall a good kid. Glad he's mine.
Bold. See, you talked about you didn't think it was going to happen, so, you could have easily said $1,000. Kind of like I bet my career on the fact that this team wasn't going to win 10 games this past season. I'm still here.
That's right. That was a loser leave town. That was a loser leave town match, right?
It was. I don't know. I think I saw he made a post, and a whole bunch of people were like, "Oh, let him stick around." I mean, I didn't respond to it or anything.
Right.
So I don't even know if he's around anymore. Probably is. Whatever. Even I think that the one of the Twitter insider guys that was like, if Bob Stoops doesn't come here, I'll delete my Twitter. He deleted his Twitter.
Well, there you go.
For like a week and a half, and now he's back. So.
Yeah, that's how that works. Can't
stay
away.
Man. Come on. Chris Kelly.
Like
Chris Kelly, 941. He joined December 2019. This is his first post and his only one. What are the chances we see one of the freshman quarterbacks next year, and how much of an advantage does Rodemaker have over Purdy by being an early enrollee?
Well, it's definitely an advantage. It's hard to quantify. I don't know what the exact, the percentage would be, but it is definitely an advantage. It has to be. I mean, not only just learning the plays and I wonder if they're gonna have a playbook. It's not just learning the plays and going through 15 days of practice. It's also just getting accustomed to college. Yeah. Like that's a big deal, man. You've got to get accustomed to being a quarterback at Florida State. That's a whole. There's a lot of things that come with that title too. So just him having 9 months, I guess what it would be 6 months on as far as academic wise and walking around campus wise, I think that's an advantage for Rodemaker just to get used to it. But then again, I can't remember if Smag was an early enrollee or not. But did it matter? No. Right. Now look, this isn't that comparison. It's not. I'm not calling Chubb a Jameis, but whoever the better player is will end up winning, and usually it's pretty easy to tell. But if it's even, if they're close to even, if their talent level is even, their acumen and the way they pick up coaching is even, well then yeah, he's going to have an advantage because he'll have gone through 15 practices in a spring game. Yeah. I wonder which one of them, if either one of them will redshirt, and if either one of them has a chance to start. I would think they do.
DeAndre Johnson was an early enrollee. But,
Yeah, well, yeah.
Whatever happened there happened.
So was Malik Henry.
Yeah, the great Malik Henry.
Yep. The old Malik dog. Yep, didn't work out.
Yeah. I went back real quick and looked at the history, and at least like Mike Norvell, at least since he was at Arizona State. Maybe I should look at what he did at Tulsa. Chris Thompson pointed out that he kind of, was on the rise after his stint at Tulsa, but I don't really have a lot of feel of what he did at Tulsa. But when they got
he was with Malzahn obviously at Tulsa, right? In that he was at, and they said, I know one year I looked it up. This is Malzahn, man. It's pretty remarkable. This might have been after he left though, or it might have been before. I'm sorry, it might have been before Norvell got there. But Tulsa, because Florida State got really close to having 3 1,000-yard receivers and 13.
Right.
I think Kenny Shaw finished like 50 yards short or 60 yards short. The last team to do it was one of Malzahn's Tulsa teams. And when you think of Malzahn now, it's all running. It's mostly running. It seems like 65% of their yards are rushing. But back then at Tulsa, he also showed that, man, if I have good receivers and a good quarterback, we can throw for 4,000 yards too.
He wasn't the head coach though. That's the thing. I mean, I think he was co-coordinator maybe with Norvell, because I think Todd Graham was the head coach at Tulsa when they were all there.
Oh, all right. Well, whatever.
Yeah, Gus was only a head coach at Arkansas State. Like when he won the national championship as the OC at Auburn, then he left, went to Arkansas State as a head coach, and then Chiswick, and then boom, shows up and almost wins the national championship, but couldn't get done. Yeah, he was assistant head coach, co-OC QB from 2007 to 2008, which I think falls in line with, first 2 years of Todd Graham being there. How about that?
Okay.
Gene Chiswick supposedly, Mississippi State reached out to him, and he was like, nah, I'm good. And then Mississippi State thought they were going to get an NFL guy, and they ended up with Mike Leach. Freaking crazy. How about that? Lane Kiffin and Mike Leach in Mississippi.
It all works out.
What a time to be alive. Okay, let's see what else we got here. We got somebody that's really stoked. We'll get to him in a second. Yeah, so what I was trying to say there, though, is when they got to Arizona State, I think they were coming off having Brock Osweiler, and they had Taylor Kelly, who was there, and is actually a pretty decent player. and Mike Bercovici took over for him when he left. So they had a pretty good situation at quarterback. And then he went and recruited Riley Ferguson, who at one point was committed or maybe even was enrolled at Tennessee, went to a junior college. And that was his quarterback for the first 2 years at Memphis. And then he had Brady White followed him from Arizona State to Memphis when he took that job. And he was a Rivals 100 guy. So, I mean, Norvell's got a pretty good track record with quarterbacks that produce, and he recruited for sure Brady White. I mean, I'm sure he was also involved. I think he was involved in the Bercovici recruitment. And Bercovici was a good Pac-12 quarterback. Like that guy put up, I think, close to 4,000 yards and 30 touchdowns in a season. Taylor Kelly lit it up a good bit too. But I don't think they've ever, to the point I'm trying to make, I don't think they've ever thrown a true freshman quarterback out there. But then again, I don't know.
And I will say this, going back to that question, to me, it would be really, I would be not stunned, but I would be surprised if somebody that gets on campus in July and goes through just 1 month of practice can be the starting quarterback on opening night in Atlanta at a place like Florida State. So that being said, if you're looking for an advantage, I would think the kid from Valdosta if you're looking for a kid that has a chance to start first game of 2020, yeah, obviously I think you have an advantage if you're here for the first if you're here for an extra month of practice, which he would be through March and April when they go through spring practice.
God, I'm trying to think. I think somebody actually did show up in July as a true freshman and start somewhere.
It happens around the country.
Yeah.
It happens around the country. Trevor Lawrence ended up, I don't know if he was an early enrollee. I don't know if Deshaun Watson was an early enrollee. I guess we could look that up, but I both of those guys started as true freshmen. I don't know. They didn't start their first games, but they played a lot, and by game 4, they were starting. So you could do James Blackmon starts, but you have a plan to get Chuba in the game. Something like that could happen if he shows that he's got the ability to play and play a lot as a true freshman.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence was an early enrollee. Jaden Daniels was an early enrollee. Hank Bachmeier was an early enrollee. I don't know about Deshaun Watson. I think he is, though. Jalen Hurts was as well.
Okay, all right. Well, we covered all that.
Yeah, so it's still crazy. I still can't. It'd be hard to, at the same time, seeing I guess that's it's just everything is relative to one another. As crazy as it would be to think of James Blackmon starting for this team, it might be crazier to think that a kid who enrolls in July is going to be able to start. And then by that sort of reasoning, maybe the guy who's going to be here earlier has a little bit of a leg up. But, Purdy was ranked higher in every single recruiting service. Rodemaker was invited to the U.S. Army All-American game. I don't think he did all that great there, but he had, it's just an all-star game. It's an exhibition. Nothing really to glean too much from those situations. But, yeah, maybe it's just that guy you just can't quit James Blackmon. You can't get rid of him. I know some people want to. I don't. You don't. But I think, you said it so well after, we spoke about from the Sun Bowl, just the way he reacts to adversity in the middle of a game. For as good as he is in terms of, having kind of hosed and losing his job going into the 18 season and being thrown into the fire in 17, that kind of adversity he seems to have handled pretty well. But in a game, an interception happens and it's just not the best sort of reaction. But maybe Mike Norvell can figure it out, man, can get to him. So KDW KBC 32, wake up! Guys, I've been watching you on YouTube for years. Finally signed up. Best decision I have made was to do this and get my daily goal fix.
What's his name? KDW, KBC something?
32. Look at you, man. You remember all that.
Yeah. It's weird that he threw a 32 in there. One wouldn't have been taken.
Right.
Did he try KDW, KBC 1 and it was no good, and 2 and it wasn't good? There's got to be a story there.
O.J. Simpson fan.
Story.
Probably O.J. Simpson fan.
Probably. That's a lot of people are O.J. fans. But there's got to be a story there with the initials. Probably his initials and his wife's initials, or his 2 kids' initials. No, that wouldn't be right. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry. I digress.
Corey, I'm planning on bringing my son down for his first Garnet and Gold game, all the way from Greenville, South Carolina. Can he meet the players and coaches that weekend?
Well, I mean, yeah, they're so he coming down for the spring game. I mean, I don't know about meeting him like, hey, this is Joey, hang out with Joey or anything, but I mean, they're always really good about I'm trying to think. I don't you can stand around the stadium and you can always see them. I don't know about like meeting them, you know what I mean? I don't know if there's a meet and greet with the team. Although I wouldn't put it past Norvell at this point. He might invite the whole fan base over to his house for dinner. I don't know if there's a what would you think? How would you answer that, Aslan? I know I'm stammering and stuttering, but I don't know.
No, I would just say probably get close to the tunnel, like on the either like the stands that hover above the tunnel, or actually go into the bowels of the stadium next to the fencing where the players come out, and just try to get as close to the fence as you can, so maybe you can get a couple high fives or something. But yeah, there's not like a meet and greet kind of thing. There's a lot of on-field access during the spring game, but I think a lot of those people are like friends of the boosters and stuff like that. So I don't have a friend who's a booster.
Or if you hang out around the stadium before or after, there's a chance, I guess. But I don't know how long, if you want to be out there for 2.5, 3 hours waiting for them to come out. Yeah, but I don't know if there's specifically a meet the team type event. There's always fan day if you come down for fan day, which is in August.
Yeah, fan day. Fan day's a good thing.
Greenville's not that far. I make the trip from Buford. I'm only like an hour and a half from Greenville.
Let's see. Somebody said they emailed us, but there's a whole bunch. Here we go. Some guy here says Randy Get Express. Happy holidays from Mariana, originally from Donaldsonville, home of the late Seminole Terry Widener, who was lucky enough to play on FSU's famous Oktoberfest team. Finding your podcast is the sole reason I rejoined Warchant after 10-ish years. I really enjoy it. Awesome.
There we go. Thank you. That's very nice. That's it's like two in a row of people we got to sign up.
Let me get a commission on this, Gene. Old Dad's Noles is his name. My question is to the degree, if any, that coach is involved with this. Oh, it's a bowl game question. Oh, sorry, man.
Which bowl game?
Yeah, right?
The Shreveport Bowl? How long has that been in the queue?
Yeah. If the coach is involved with the bowl game, the plus would be practices with the roster, yet the negative would be if FSU stinks it up. Many fans would say, this is who we hired. What are your thoughts and info on this? Yeah, he had no involvement in it. That couldn't have been this guy. I'm sorry, everybody, the way I'm talking and everything. Maybe send us another question. Well, yeah, shout out. Old Dad's a Nole. We appreciate it. A little bit dated of a question, but that's my fault, not yours. Big G95 GM.
Was
gents.
He might have been asking like just why wouldn't he have done it? Not necessarily is he going to do it, but why wouldn't he have done it? But either way, you call that. I mean, it's not a terrible point. Look, that's way too many. That's way too short a practice season to like install your offense. Yeah. He would have to coach Kendall Briles' offense, and he doesn't know how to do that. Or he'd have Kendall Briles call his play. Anyway, that wouldn't necessarily work. And I think a part of that, you don't see that a lot. I think you don't really ever see that. Like I think maybe Alabama's done it a couple of times where they hired like a DC that didn't help to prepare for the playoffs. Isn't that right? Like when they lost Pruitt, or they kept Pruitt, but then hired the new DC to replace him, and then they both worked together.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Didn't
that happen a few years ago?
I think so.
I feel like that happened a few years ago, or Sarkisian and Kiffin, something like that. But anyway, that doesn't normally happen. You usually want the coaches that are there, that are getting paid to coach the 2019 team, even though they weren't very good. Results speak for themselves, to finish out the season with those players.
Whiskey J69 is just super pumped up, man. He's a believer. Coach has quiet confidence. Young, energetic coaches that have proved their worth at other Power 5 programs. Has created a support staff. All of this seems to have translated into recruits having real interest in FSU again. He's starting to really like this coach. Believes that we'll soon start to see real interest from top-tier recruits again. What are your thoughts? I do wonder, I know it's always a wait-and-see kind of a thing, but I do wonder with what he has kind of put together, just in terms of not even so much the staff, just what they've, these guys and the stops they've had in their accomplishments, but just in terms of like the support staff. To have a chief of staff who's going to be like a top advisor who came from the NFL and a whole bunch of other guys working underneath him. If he can just kind of, I don't know how much of that you can put on a postcard that you mail to a kid and have them start thinking about you. But I think ultimately the wait and see stuff is going to be the wait and see stuff. But I think the more schools he's able to get into, I think he's going to really impress high school coaches just with the way he carries himself. And I think the way he looks at the way he sees football and the way he schemes and draws things up, that I think that'll be maybe the catalyst before they're able to start winning some games that can get guys involved, because I think he'll impress the high school coaches enough to where they'll say, listen, man, like if you were a kid and you liked watching Jameis growing up and you liked Florida State, like you should still consider them because they're going to get close to that, hopefully, with this guy, or at least I think he will, because he impressed me on the whiteboard.
Yeah, and I mean, he's just a really impressive person when you talk to him, and I do think his energy and his vision kind of permeates, it shines through. You feel it when you're in the room with him. And that's a good description. Quiet confidence. I mean, he's not quiet necessarily. He's not,
brash. It's not brash,
Yeah, exactly. But the way he talks about himself, there is kind of just an aura of that. He knows he's good, and he knows what this is. Look, and the other guy before him was pretty confident too. So that's not a guarantee of success, but he does just come across as a guy that just knows. He knows what he's doing, and I just feel it when you talk to him, when you're around him, you just feel it. And I do think, I think he's going to be the kind of guy that is going to make them. Number one, his best recruiting is going to be what they do on the field. That's job one, obviously, is to fix what happens on the field. But getting recruits, I think the fact that he to me feels like a guy, and I'm not saying the last staff didn't do this, but he's going to know the girlfriend's name. He's going to know the mom and dad's name. He's going to know he's going to know the kid's favorite teacher. I think that's the kind of stuff that he's going to be really, really good at. Yeah. Just the details, the little details when it comes to stuff like that. Don't you think?
I agree. Yeah. But I mean, I might have Michael on the show later. I know Michael and I are going to definitely do a video chat. That'll be up on YouTube as well as warchant.com later this week. And maybe he can give a better idea in terms of like the 5 stars that are in play right now. Because I don't think there are any, at least for 2020, but 2020 is winding down with, February, that first Wednesday in the month approaching. But for, the 2021 class, I mean, there's obviously always blue chip guys in the state. I don't know how many of them are considering FSU off the bat, but, we'll have Michael Langston on and he'll talk about that for sure. Let's try to hustle up and get a couple of these. Let's see if we can maybe finish all of it. Agan_Nole. I agree with Corey's article the other day about the rebuild not taking very long, but how do we see Clemson not lasting in this current environment? There were signs with Florida State slowing down by not having quarterbacks being developed after Jameis left. Doesn't look like Clemson's slowing down. They've got the best quarterback and managed to grab 2 of the top ones in the last 2 years. FSU will get better, but I wonder how long it'll take for Clemson's downturn to actually occur for us to catch them. Does that need to happen, though? Like, can Florida State, can Clemson just keep orbiting at their high velocity or whatever, and Florida State just climbs up?
Florida State can join them there, I think, but the end of my column was basically it did say, look, Clemson and Alabama won't be this forever, and neither will Florida State. Like, that's just how the nature of college football. It just, who would have thought in 1998 that Florida State was going to be right at at the end of the 2000 when they played Oklahoma? Nobody thought that was the end of the dynasty. You didn't see that coming. They lost a lot of guys, sure, but those recruiting classes were incredible. When you go back and look at those 99, 2000, 2001, 2002 recruiting classes, they were still getting incredible talent. And just something flips, something changes. Now, Dabo's not going to become a 71-year-old man in the next 3 or 4 years, but things change. You lose coaches. You lose the consistency. Maybe this quarterback that they're getting isn't another transcendent talent, even though he throws the arm. He has an arm that apparently throws footballs through walls. Maybe that stuff doesn't. Maybe he's just not as good as the other ones. You don't know. You just don't know. It doesn't seem like they're slowing down. It seems like they're geared up for a decade-long run of dominance. But how often does that happen in college football? Not often. It does happen. I'm not saying it can't, but things change. Things flip. Dabo might get bored. Dabo might go to Alabama if Saban ever retires. We don't know. And if he goes to Alabama, is Clemson just going to keep riding along? When Venables leaves, and it will happen, is Clemson just going to keep sailing along? It's hard to know. I would. What brought on the end of the Florida State dynasty?
Bad
Do you have a
assistant
specific-
coaches. Well, bad assistant coach. Like Mark Rick left, Amato left, and then Bobby promoted Jeff, and Jody
Right.
Allen got hired.
Yeah.
Weird, bizarre things like that.
Yeah, and obviously the quarterback play deteriorated rapidly, but that happens. And, Venables won't be there forever. They just lost one of their offensive coordinators. They're probably going to lose the other one next year. And then Venables might go. And when you start having to rebuild staffs, man, it can be really hard. And so...
And then maybe get complacent. Maybe they get complacent and, maybe all these 5-stars don't play at the 5-star level.
Well, when is that going to happen? I'm yeah, you would think that, but man, it should have happened by now. Complacency needs to set in on that campus by the lake. It is ridiculous. These guys they're angry. They play angry. They want to win all the time. It's like, why can't they just be happy 11-2 or 10-3?
Clemson quarterback coach Brandon Streeter on DJ Ulele. I don't know how to pronounce the name, but that's how I'm pronouncing it. Man, his arm strength is at another level. It's the best arm strength that I've ever seen.
Great. Perfect. Awesome. Well, that's good to hear. No, it might not ever end. Answer the It might not ever end. It might be Clemson for life.
I guess it's obviously a little bit different because we're in the same conference and the way the playoff is structured and everything. But, Florida was killing it in the 90s too, and that didn't really derail Florida State from winning national championships either. So maybe there's enough room at the mountaintop, but then
you can be both. I mean, it can be like from whatever 12 to 15, they were even programs essentially. Yeah. They were both very good top 10 programs. Florida State was a little better, but then Clemson caught up. But that can happen. You can both be 10 or 11 win teams in the same conference.
Georgia. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was done.
Georgia 20K _ Noel. At 2 questions. One of them is for Langston, probably. Baseball season, getting close. What are your expectations for the team this year?
National championship or bust.
Yep. Omaha.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be, if they can stay healthy, they have one of the best pitchers in the country in Van Eyck. And then, I just think they have a lot of arms. They have a lot of arms that can throw hard. It's a different kind of staff than what we're used to at Florida State, at least, before the last 3 or 4 years. I think they can really throw. They're going to be able to really pitch. Their offense is going to be a work in progress. They're going to have to moneyball their way to a few wins with walks and hit by pitches and stuff because they don't have a ton of, at least that we've seen a lot of proven pro ball talent on offense. Let's put it that way. I think Reese Albert, when he's healthy, is a really good hitter. Mm-hmm. So there you go.
NYC Noel. Wake up, fellas. Great show. I've been away for a minute. Sorry, I'm back. Things the way they are now, is it best to assume a true freshman is starting at quarterback come September? Dillingham has recent experience with this. What says you, almighty ones? That's
a good point. We should have brought that up when it was asked a few minutes ago. That is a good point. Dillingham just coached a true freshman. And to a pretty good season. And his first game was Oregon in one of those neutral site games. So Dillingham has done it, even if Norvell hasn't. I don't know if Chubba Purdy or Rodemaker is as good as the Knicks kid is purported to be. But, I mean, it's certainly a possibility. I also don't know if Knicks was an early enrollee or not. You going to look that up, Aslan?
He was.
Oh, well, there you go. So, no, it won't be Purdy then. But, I think one of both, whoever the best one is of the two, is going to play and probably play a lot in 2020. I still don't know if maybe I think there could be a deal where James Blackmon, now that I think about it, it would be. Do you think Norvell in his first game would start? Luckily, we've only got 9 more months to talk about this. But do you think he would start a guy with zero experience, fresh out of high school, as opposed to a kid that started 26, 27 games? Who's going to look better in practice? Who's going to pick up the offense quicker?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Don't you think the reasons, like if you watch Blackmon in practice, and look, he's pretty erratic sometimes with his accuracy, but this will be his 4th offense in 4 years. And so he's shown the ability to learn an offense, and he will learn the offense. And he does have an arm. It's an impressive arm, and he's got great leadership skills. The reasons that Florida State fans and Florida State media are so down on James are those intangible things, like the things at the Sun Bowl, or the fact, in the Wake Forest game, he scrambles and comes up a half yard short, or in the Virginia game, when you can't do it, he overthrows Terry by 15 yards. Those little things. But in practice, that manifests itself enough that a coach would say, man, whatever it has, and I'm not saying this is the truth, I'm just saying so far through 2 years of him starting, whatever it is, James doesn't seem to have it, so we can't go with him, even though he looks like the better practice player. It's going to be it'll be fascinating, man. If Blackman's still here, which there are no reason, I guess, to think he won't be, but it'll be a fascinating competition because these are their guys. Purdy and Rodemaker are their guys. They didn't have great long relationships with them, but they brought them in. They're their guys. And are they going to believe more in Chubba Purdy as an 18-year-old freshman than they will in James Blackmon, who started 25 games or whatever it's been?
Yeah, not to go conspiracy theory guy here, but like Louisville, I think has they're pretty set at quarterback, man. I think that Malik Cunningham kid, I think, is sticking around. Puma Pass is actually like the better of the two, but he got injured. And then their third string quarterback was actually pretty decent too. I think he was the guy that was committed to Appalachia State and followed Satterfield to Louisville. So they're pretty set up on their depth chart there. So I do wonder if Norvell kind of gave him a listen. I've seen you on tape. There's no reason to think that you couldn't be able to come here and pick things up, and be able to compete and start early on in your career. So it could be one of those things where he sees the potential in somebody doing things quickly. But to your point, and we'll pivot off of it and try to get to the rest of these other ones so we get under an hour. I just don't know, like, what coach have you ever known that started a kid that didn't look the best in practice, especially a quarterback? And to him, it's not like James Blackman's burned him. It's not like, I coached you in Virginia and Charlottesville and you screwed me over because you missed Terry, and in the Sun Bowl you melted down and you screwed me. He's kind of starting from scratch with him. So I mean, if he does look like the better player in practice and he says the right things and maybe shows a little better, comportment and the way he handles things in practice, I don't see why he wouldn't start him. But he could also have seen all that and realize that he can't fix it. But I guess maybe his point. Is it best to assume a true freshman starts? That's the thing. Like, you're really going to go into this thing and a true freshman is going to start over James Blackmon. And I'm not saying like James Blackmon, like the mighty James Blackmon, but just a guy who's been here and has been put in a lot of situations. All right, two last ones, Corey. Latest on Travis J. Is he enrolled? Yes. Is he on the roster? Yes. What's going on with his future grade? Just had to get his grades in order. If you're a member of Warchant.com, Big G, check it out. His high school coach actually posted the whole rundown. I'm not going to read it because it's for some of the members, but he'll be ready to go. Last one, Turn to Lives. Can y'all find out if the team still uses the temperature management system, TMS? Those are shoulder pads that can be hooked up to cooled air to help prevent players from overheating. If we don't have them, we should look into it. I'm pretty sure they don't, because in the times that we're at practice, and granted we're there at the beginning of practice, I've never seen them hooked up to said machine. And we've seen the players walk up at practice, and I know that the shoulder pads aren't anything special, but we've never seen anything like that. They still wear the slingshot at times, but not as often. Anyhow, all right, we're done, Corey. We made it, and we're under an hour. It's fantastic. We'll do another Renegade Express thread. We'll take your questions. And basketball game Wednesday, we'll probably be back. Maybe we might do only a Thursday show. We'll see. Subscribe to the podcast, though. That way you never have to guess. It'll be waiting for you on your mobile device. He's Corey Malzahn. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Zaxby's.
Warchant.com is the ultimate inside source for FSU football and recruiting. And now you can get in on the action for free for an entire month. Warchant.com is offering a risk-free 30-day trial subscription. Get full access to the #1 website covering the Seminoles just by entering the promo code WARCHANT30. That's WARCHANT30. Sign up and get in on the world's most active FSU message boards. Receive breaking news, stories from our award-winning staff, plus get exclusive interviews and videos. Just enter the promo code WARCHANT30. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source.